Alright, hello again. Seems like we're back in the same place we kind of started here, but it feels like this video was kind of necessary, so without any further hesitation, let's get into it. Alright, so today we're going to be revisiting the Ownboard Bamboo, and actually this is to kind of compile some of my additional thoughts and kind of updated feelings based on both kind of current events that have happened and also some other things that I couldn't really fit into the video. And that's pretty much what I really wanted to focus on here. So to start off, this isn't really... I want to be careful in how I phrase this because this is not a retraction. At the end of the day, I do still recommend this board, but with a big asterisk next to it. So let's get into why that is. Actually, first, let's get into the big issue that everybody's been talking about lately, and that is the cloud wheels. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, both in the comments and directly, about this particular issue. And when I made the video, this was all just kind of coming together. And actually, what a lot of people don't know is that the core cracking issue was actually known in the DIY community previous to this. But I think what we're seeing now is that with more and more companies using these and also just their popularity with the DIY community in general and people fitting these on like their boosted boards and just regular commuter boards, there's a lot more out there now. And so it's become far more pronounced. But I don't want that to sound like I'm excusing the issue because there is clearly an issue with the cores on these wheels. That being said, I do have two sets of these, both on my DIY and on this board, of course. I have been checking them regularly while riding, and I personally have not experienced the cracking issue yet, but I do plan to eventually sell this board. And when I do, I will probably sell it with some standard style ABEC 97mm wheels. And that kind of brings me to my next point in that because I am not really beholden to any contractual obligations here, I just wanted to point out that that's how I'm doing this right now is I just buy boards and sell them. Like I go through these about I'll buy like a consumer board like probably every 2 months and I'll just sell the old one off. So going forward, if you had any like thoughts or questions about like how this channel or maybe other channels work, I can't speak for anybody else, but that's kind of my game plan. But to wrap that up, yeah, it's a real bummer, but definitely an issue. And if you were thinking about this board and maybe you're not now because of that problem, like I definitely don't fault you. So moving on to the service and support aspect of this, as I said, I didn't have any issues there, and I'm not going to act like I'm not someone who's not persuasive, shall we say, when they want to be. But that being said, I didn't have any issues in terms of contacting the service and support department and also the service that I received when I had an issue. They fully replaced the battery. It did take a while. It took about 3 weeks, but do keep in mind this was about the same time that all of the COVID-19 stuff was starting to kick off. And so honestly, like it was kind of spectacular, like how fast that moved considering. Now, that being said, I can't speak to your service experience outside of the US or even just your service experience in general. And that is something to keep in mind when purchasing one of these boards is you are dealing with an overseas company that is essentially just a wholesaler for these products a lot of the time. Ownboard is definitely kind of coming into their own brand, but they do, like, you're not going to get the same experience like you would buying from a domestic brand like, let's say, like, well, previously I would have said Boosted Board, but now maybe like Evolve or now X-Way, who's been really stepping up their game. But that kind of goes without saying with pretty much anything, whether or not you're getting a Walgo, an Ownboard, a Meepo, that risk is always there that something could go wrong and you're not going to either get complete or timely service. So that being said, I don't feel that that's necessarily a major ding against it. I think that is just something more to consider overall. And I did mention on that point that my main issue was the battery failed. And after that, I've had I want to say about 5 people kind of comment here and there that they were also having issues with their batteries. If it happens to you, it absolutely sucks. And that's why I say, like, if you're watching this and you have this board and you are having this issue, speak up down in the comments or go on the electric skateboard riders group and post that, because the biggest thing, like it was with the cloud wheels, was it was isolated incidents and nobody was really saying anything, and then one person started being very vocal about it, and then everybody kind of said, oh yeah, I was having this issue too. So if you're having this same issue, let it be known. That's the only way that manufacturers are going to respond to that. So that's kind of my end cap on that. The other thing too to consider now, and I didn't really go into it too much, was how much money I actually put into this on top of basically the post-sales cost. And by that I mean swapping out all the bushings. And that did cost me, I think in the end it was about $50. And that's not an insignificant amount, especially if this is like something that you've already budgeted for. Asking to spend like another $30 or $40 just to make the board like essentially rideable is a significant ask, and I do realize that, but it's not a huge expense, and I definitely do not like the stock bushings, but it is rideable as long as you're not pushing it. But that is, again, something to really consider, and I don't feel that I really kind of outlined that point very much in the initial review video. And again, Brad over at Riptide Sports, and he does not pay me to say this, like, he just legitimately provides excellent customer service, and he has a fantastic product. So whether or not you have an Ownboard or a Rampage or a Evolve, I highly recommend checking out Riptide Sports. They make some excellent urethane and bushings specifically. And he will work with you to kind of dial in the setup that you need for this board. And you can reach out to him on the forums, or you can reach out to them on their contact page. And then as well, like I mentioned, I was thinking about swapping out for like some 97s or 110 mil wheels to replace the cloud wheels. So that now may also be something that you have to factor into kind of the post-sales cost of this board, if that's what you're thinking about now. So all that considered, like at the end of the day, you could be spending like upwards of another, $200 just to essentially make this rideable at the end of the day. If you don't want to ride on the stock bushings and you're worried about the cloud wheels and you don't want to get the AT wheels, which personally I still don't like the AT wheels, again, something to consider. So would I still recommend this board? And more to the point, should you still buy this board? As always, I think that's up to you. I still tentatively recommend this. I think, again, you're not going to find much better under $1,000. I don't think X-Ways is going to punch in close to that. I mean, if they can deliver right at that price point, I'd probably recommend that. So that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to kind of slide in there. There are still plenty of good things about this board. One of the things I didn't mention that I really liked is that it came stock with a 3 amp charger. It came with extra belts. There are still a few things to consider here. As good as the price is, it's really not worth gambling with your safety. And if you don't feel safe riding this board, and to be clear, I don't feel unsafe riding this board, but if after everything you've read and all the issues that we've seen with these wheels, you don't feel confident in going in this direction, get an X-Way Flex. Like, I don't mean to sound shilly, nobody's paid me to say this, but it really is the high bar to beat, and at 750 bucks, it's probably the best board I've ridden to date. And especially if this is your first board, like, I don't feel very strongly about these dual kingpin trucks, especially with newer riders. They do take a bit of adjustment to get used to. But that being said, do I still recommend this board? Yes. But again, with that asterisk. So hopefully now you can take into consideration all of the things that we've talked about previously here, and this will hopefully help you make a more informed decision on whether or not you want to purchase this board, or maybe there's another option that you might be looking at. As always, let's ride, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.